Now, for any calculations in chemistry, it is very important that you understand how do you find the formula mass. Okay, so let's see how you find the formula mass. Now, for example, if you need to find the mass of carbon dioxide, formula mass is the sum of all the mass of all the atoms in a compound. So how many atoms are there in carbon dioxide? It's mass of carbon plus 2 times the mass of oxygen. So there's double oxygen. So you look at the periodic table, the atomic mass of carbon is 12, oxygen is 16. So 16 times 2 is 32 plus 12 is 44 grams. If you're given calcium carbonate, CaCO3, so that is mass of calcium plus mass of carbon plus 3 times the mass of oxygen, which is 100 grams. Okay, now let's look at a complex molecule like CaPO43. Now, what is the indication of this 3 is that anything which is inside the bracket should be times by 3. So the mass of phosphorus should be times by 3, and oxygen, which is already 4, that is oxygen mass times by 4 and then times it by 3. That is 12 times the mass of oxygen. So for calcium phosphate, the mass will be mass of carbon plus 3 times the mass of phosphorus plus 12 times the mass of oxygen. If you put this masses, you'll get 310 grams. Okay, so now you should know the definitions of relative formula mass and atomic mass. So relative formula mass is the sum of relative atomic mass of all the atoms present in a compound, and the atomic mass is the ratio of the average mass of one atom compared to the 1/12 of the mass of carbon-12. Okay, so make sure you remember this definition. Now let's come to the moles triangle. So I have made these triangles, okay, and these triangles are very, very important. Okay, make sure you understand these triangles. If you want, you can make these triangles, stick it to your study table so that you can see and revise them every day. So the first is how you convert the mass into moles. Now to convert the mass into moles, you divide the mass with the MR, the atomic mass, or if it's a formula compound, you divide it by the formula mass. So moles is mass over an MR. Okay. If you have the volume at the standard room temperature pressure, and if the volume is in decimeter cube, you can divide it by 24 to find the moles of the substance. Okay. Similarly, if you have the concentration, you can find it by moles divided by volume, provided volume has to be in dm cube. So this is the moles in the mass triangle, this is the moles in the volume triangle, and this is the moles and the concentration triangle. Okay, now in most of the cases they give you the volumes in centimeter cube. You must have seen in many questions in your textbook. So you should know how to convert the centimeter cube to decimeter cube. So centimeter cube is converted to decimeter cube by dividing it by 1000, and decimeter cube can be converted into centimeter cube by 1000. Okay, so they can give you any volumes, any masses, any concentration, and can ask you to find the moles. So these triangles will be very helpful. So what is moles? Moles is nothing but the amount of substance. Okay, and 1 mole can also tell you that how many atoms or molecules are present, because 1 mole is equal to the Avogadro's constant, which is 6.02 times 10 to the power 23 atoms or molecules. So if they ask you to find in the exam the number of atoms or molecules, you convert that value into the moles by using any of these 3 triangles, and then you times it by the Avogadro's constant, 6.02 times 10 power 23 atoms. Okay, now let us look at few examples. The first question is calculate the moles of 22 grams of carbon dioxide. Now from the triangles you can see that moles is mass over an MR. So 22 divided by 54 is 0.5 moles. 17 grams of ammonia. MR of ammonia is nitrogen plus 3 hydrogen, which is 17. So you have 17 grams of ammonia. So we will do 17 divided by 17, and you will get the answer as 1 mole. 48 decimeter cube of oxygen. To find the For 48 decimeter cube of oxygen, if you remember, volume divided by 24 is moles. So 48 divided by 24 is 2 moles. For 24,000 centimeter cube of carbon dioxide, remember, you need to convert it into dm cube. So divide by 1000, that gives you 24 dm cube. And moles is the volume divided by 24, so that is 1 mole. Next is 20 grams of sodium hydroxide dissolved in 50 centimeter cube of solution. Moles is, you need to divide the 20 grams by the MR, which is 40. That gives you 0.5 moles. Okay, so I hope you are now able to find the moles by different ways, whether the volume is given or the mass is given. Now let's look at how you can use the moles to find the mass. So we will use the same triangles. If you have the moles, you can times the moles by the MR to find the mass. So if there's 2 moles of calcium carbonate is CaCO3. So the MR of CaCO3 is 100. So 2 times 100, 200 grams will be the mass of 2 moles of calcium carbonate. 0.1 moles of hydrochloric acid, MR of hydrochloric acid is 36.5 times by 0.1. That will give you 3.65 grams. Next is 2 moles of sodium hydroxide dissolved in 10 decimeter cube of solution. Concentration is moles divided by volume. Remember, volume has to be in dm cube. So 2 divided by 10 is 0.2 moles per dm cube. 20 gram of sodium hydroxide dissolved in 50 centimeter cube. You need to first convert 20 grams into moles, which is 0.5. The volume, you have to convert it into decimeter cube by dividing it by 1000. So that is 0.05 decimeter cube. And then you can do moles divided by volume. So 0.5 divided by 0.05 gives you 10 moles per dm cube as in concentration. Okay, so I hope the use of triangle is clear to you. Now let's see how we can use the Avogadro's constants and connect them all. The next question says, calculate the number of molecules in 49 grams of sulfuric acid. Now we know the MR of sulfuric acid is 98. The moles which are there in 49 grams is 0.5 moles. We will times it by the Avogadro's constant, 6.02 times 10 power 23. And we will get 3.01 times 10 to power 23 atoms of sulfuric acid. Next question, 8 grams of oxygen. We'll divide it by the MR, which is 32, and get 0.25 moles, times it by the Avogadro's constant, and we'll get the answer 1.5 times 10 power 23 atoms. 48 decimeter cube of nitrogen divided by 24, we'll get 2 moles, times it by 6.02 times 10 power 23, and we'll get 1.2 times 10 power 24 atoms. 50 centimeter cube of 0.1 moles per dm cube of sodium hydroxide. Moles is concentration times the volume. The concentration is 0.1, volume is 50 over 1000 because it is in centimeter cube. That gives us 5 times 10 power minus 3 moles. We'll times it by the Avogadro's constant and we get 3.01 times 10 power 21 atoms. Okay, so I hope the calculations of moles, the calculations of number of molecules, calculation of masses and volume is clear to you. Okay, now let's see what is a balanced chemical equation. Now there are a lot of questions where you will be asked to find the moles or masses from the balanced chemical equation. For that, it is very important you understand how you balance the equation and what information a balanced chemical equation gives us. So if this is an equation, carbon plus oxygen give carbon dioxide, this equation tells us that 1 mole of carbon is reacting with 1 mole of oxygen, making 1 mole of carbon dioxide. On the other hand, the next equation, Mg plus 2HCl gives MgCl2 plus hydrogen, tells us that 1 mole of magnesium combines with 2 moles of hydrochloric acid to form 1 mole of magnesium chloride and 1 mole of hydrogen. 2 aluminium plus 3 oxygen plus 2 Al2O3 tells us that 2 moles of aluminium combines with 3 moles of oxygen to give 2 moles of aluminium oxide. Okay, now how we will use this balanced chemical equation? If we know the moles of oxygen, we can easily find the moles of aluminium. Or if we know the moles of aluminium, we can easily find the moles of aluminium oxide. Because according to this, the moles of aluminium and aluminium oxides are same, 2:2, that is 1:1 ratio. So if in a reaction, 5 moles of aluminium is reacted, how many moles of aluminium oxide will be formed? 5 moles. Okay, so the balanced chemical equation gives us the ratio of the moles of each and every element that is reacting. Okay, now let's see how you need to do the calculations from equations. Now, in the exam, they'll give you a balanced chemical equation. In the balanced chemical equation, they'll give you the mass of any one reactant, and they'll ask you to find the mass of the product formed, or they'll give you mass of the any product. You have to find the mass of the reactant formed for that given mass. Now, how will you do that question? So here I have given up the steps to do this question. I'll go over the step one by one. Make sure you understand it. Okay. So the first step is you always write the balanced chemical equation. So this is a reaction where there's a magnesium and oxygen reacting to form magnesium oxide. So I'll write the balanced chemical equation. 2Mg plus O2 gives 2MgO. So that is the first step. Step 2 is, what information is given to you in the exam, in the question, you put it to the left, and what they ask you to find, you put it to the right. So in this question, if you read it, calculate the mass of magnesium oxide produced when 6 gram of magnesium burns. They have given you the mass of magnesium and they have asked you to find the mass of magnesium oxide. So the known I have put to the left of the equal to sign, and the one I have to find I've put to the right of the equal to sign. So that's my step 2. Step 3 is write the relationship between the two from the balanced chemical equation. So from the balanced chemical equation, how many moles of magnesium is reacting? 2. How many moles of magnesium oxide is formed? 2. So underneath each, I'll write 2 moles and 2 moles. Next step is convert these moles into masses. So 2 moles of magnesium will be times it by the MR, 48 grams. 2 moles of magnesium would be 2 times the MR of MgO, which is 80 grams. So now I got the mass relationship between the two, that if there's a 48 grams of magnesium, the MgO form will be 80 Mg. Now I can do the maths. Now what is the maths? 48 grams of Mg gives 80 grams. 1 gram will be, I'll divide by 48. So I'll divide by 48 the other side. So 80 divided by 48. Now they have given me 6 gram of magnesium. So from 1 to 6, I'll times by 6. I'll times by 6 on the other side. So 80 divided by 48 times by 6 give me the answer of 10 grams. It means 10 gram of magnesium oxide is formed when 6 grams of magnesium react. This is the way you have to do this question. I'll again take you through the step. Write the balanced chemical equation, put known to the left, unknown to the right, write the first relationship of moles from the balanced chemical equation, converts the moles into mass, and do the maths. Okay, now let us look at one more example. They say calculate the mass of aluminium needed to produce 306 grams of aluminium oxide. Now first, the balanced chemical equation. Aluminium plus oxygen gives Al2O3. In the exam, they might give you the equation as well. Now, what is known to us? They have given us the mass of aluminium oxide. So I'll keep the mass of aluminium oxide to the left and I'll put aluminium to the right. Then the first relationship of moles will be from the balanced chemical equation. So how many moles of aluminium oxide are being formed? 2. How many moles of aluminiums are being used? 4. So 2 moles and 4 moles. Then I'll convert 2 moles of aluminium oxide into mass. So 2 moles of aluminium oxide is 204 grams. 4 moles of aluminium is 108 grams. So 204 give me 108. How do I get 1 gram? I'll divide by 204 both sides. Then I have to find aluminium oxide is 306. So I'll times it by 306. And this will give me the answer 162 grams. Okay, so I hope how do you calculate from the reacting equations or reacting masses is clear to you. Just follow this step and you will never make an error. Okay, so this is how you do the calculation. Now, remember, this is very important because if you do not understand this, you'll have a problem in finding the percentage yield. Okay, now there's just small concept to see. In an exam, they will give you the mass of both the reactants and they can ask you which one is a limiting reagent. Now, always remember what is a limiting reagent. A limiting reagent is that reactant that is present in the less quantity and that is completely used up in a reaction. Okay, so for example, I say in a reaction, 4 moles of aluminium reacts with 3 moles of oxygen. And suppose I mix 4 moles of aluminium and 4 moles of oxygen. Now, according to the balanced chemical equation, for 4 moles of aluminium, I require 4 moles of oxygen, 3 moles of oxygen. So if 4 moles of oxygen is given to me, it means that my oxygen is in excess. 4 moles of aluminium will completely get reacted with 3 moles of oxygen. So my aluminium in that case will become the limiting reagent and the oxygen is in excess because it is present in the extra quantity than it is required. Now, how do you work out the limiting reagent in every reaction? You first write the balanced chemical equation and find the moles that are reacting and then find the moles which are given to you. And from that, you will work out which is in excess and which is limiting. So for example, a question says 13.5 grams of aluminium and 32 grams of oxygens are there. Now, you will convert the moles by doing the mass divided by MR. So 13.5 divided by 27 gives 0.5 moles of aluminium and 1 mole of oxygen. Now, if you look at the equation, if you have 4 moles of aluminium, you require 2 moles of if you have 4 moles of aluminium, you require 3 moles of oxygen, right? So 4 moles of aluminium gives you 3 moles of oxygen. If you have 1 mole of aluminium, you require 3/4 of oxygen. But the aluminium is half a mole, so half a mole will be, you need just 0.375 of oxygen. And how much oxygen you have? 1 mole. So the oxygen is in excess and aluminium is a limiting reagent. It will get completely used up. Now, how will you find the mass of aluminium oxide? By doing the calculation in terms of limiting reagent. So you will see the relationship between the limiting reagent and the product. So you will keep the aluminium, the limiting reagent, to the left, aluminium oxide to the right. From the balanced chemical equation, 4 moles of aluminium gives 2 moles of aluminium oxide. 1 mole will give 2/4. Here we have how many moles of aluminium? 0.5. That will give you 0.25 moles of aluminium oxide, and you can times the 0.25 by the MR and you can get 25.5 grams. Okay, so I hope this calculations of limiting reagent is clear to you. This is important. You should know the definition of limiting reagent and how do you work out the limiting reagent. Now let us move on to the percentage yield. Now, whatever we have done so far is the theoretical calculation that by theory, if we are mixing this much amount of reactants, we should get this much grams of products. But that does not happen in reality. In reality, you always get lesser than what you expect or what you calculate from theory. Okay, and the ratio of the observed mass over the expected mass gives you the percentage yield. So percentage yield is given by the formula observed mass over the expected mass times by 100, or you can write it as actual yield over theoretical times 100. Now, how do you work out the theoretical yield? It's the same process we just did just now. How do you do the calculations from an equation? So for example, a question is given to you that when 28 grams of nitrogen reacts, 30 grams of ammonia is made. Calculate the percentage yield. So first we'll calculate theoretically that when 28 grams of nitrogen is reacting, how much ammonia is formed. So we'll do the same stage. Write the balanced chemical equation. Known to the left, nitrogen, ammonia to the right. Nitrogen from the balanced equation is 1 mole, ammonia is 2 mole. Convert this into masses. So 28 grams is 34 grams. So with 28 grams of nitrogen, we should get 34 grams of ammonia. But how much we are getting? We are getting 30 grams. So expected is 34, but observed is 30. So percentage yield is 30 over 34 times by 100, which is 88.2%. Okay. Now let's take another example. When 80 grams of iron oxide reacts with carbon, according to this equation, 20 grams of iron is produced. So we'll keep iron to the left, iron oxide to the iron to the right, iron oxide to the left. From the balanced chemical equation, 2 moles of iron oxide is forming 4 moles of iron. We convert it into mass. 320 grams of iron oxide is 224 grams of iron. We'll find the mass of 1, divide by 320, and then we'll times it by 80 because iron oxide is given us to be 80. So 224 divided by 320 times by 80 gives us 56 grams. That is, we should get 56 grams of iron when we are having 80 grams of iron oxide. But what we got actual, we got 20 grams. So we'll divide the two. 20 divided by 56 times 100, it means the yield is just 35.71. Okay, so remember, you need to do the theoretical calculations, find out what you should get as per the calculation. What you observed, you divide the two and times it by 100, and that gives you the percentage yield. Now, the next question is, why the percentage yield is not 100%? They can ask you this question. So you should know what are the various reasons why the yield always decreases. The percentage yield can never be greater than 100, and it is difficult to get the 100% yield. Now, why the yield is not 100%? First, maybe certain reactions do not go to completion and the products are not formed. Some of the reaction, if they're reversible, can start moving to the reverse side. So that will also decrease the yields. Some of the reaction can go and form the alternative or the unwanted product. So might not make the product that you want. During the reaction, if it involves mixing, some of the reactant can just stick to the vessel and do not react. Or some of the reactants, if they are gases, can be lost. Some of the products can also be lost in the reaction vessel if it involves the gas, or maybe the reactant is not pure, therefore it did not react completely. So you should remember these reasons, because in the exam they can ask you to find the percentage yield and then ask you to give the reason why it is not 100%. And always remember, the scientists are always try to devise that rule which gives the maximum percentage yield. Now, there's another concept which is very important for the chemist, is the atom economy. Atom economy is what is the MR of the desired product over the total MR of all the reactants times by 100. Okay, now let's see how this works. Calcium carbonate gives calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. What is our desired product? Calcium oxide. What is the MR of that? 56. What is the mass of the reactant? There is 100 grams of the reactant that is reacting. So atom economy is 56 over 100 times 100. So it is 56%. Let's take another example. Fe2O3 plus 3 carbon give 2 Fe plus 3 CO, and desired product is iron. So what is the mass of the desired product? 2 times the MR of iron, which is 112 gram. What is the mass of all the reactants? So that is the mass of Fe2O3 plus 3 times the mass of carbon. So once we do that, we get the percentage yield as 112 over 196 times per 100. That gives us the atom economy. So this is the atom economy to be 57%. Okay, so I hope this concept of finding the atom economy is clear to you. Now, there are some reactions which have 100% atom economy. These are those reactions which produces only one product. And what are those reactions that produces only one product? These are addition reactions. So how can the scientists increase the atom economy? They can look for those reactions that produces a single product and go for the addition reaction. And if there are any reaction that is producing any byproduct, it is better to recycle it or use it in some other reaction to increase the atom economy. Okay, so I hope the atom economy and the percentage yield is clear to you. Now let us look at the last concept you need to do is the titration. Now this titration you all must have done in your class practical, in your school practical. You should first know the apparatus. In the exam they can give you the apparatus and ask you to label it with its function. So this is a conical flask, and in the conical flask you put any solution for which you know the concentration, and you put the required volume, and you also know the volume of this solution. And how do you find the volume of, how do you measure the volume of this solution? With the pipette. So with the pipette, pipette is a tube which has a bulb in the middle. You suck out the required volume, put it into the conical flask, and in the conical flask only that solution goes for which you know the concentration. Okay, then into the conical flask you add an indicator. Indicator is used to determine the endpoint. Endpoint is when acid and alkali has completely reacted. Titration is a technique which is used to determine the exact volume of the acids and the base to carry out a neutralization reaction. In a burette, you fill that quantity for which you do not know the concentration. So you find out the volume that is completely neutralizing the conical flask contents with the help of the burette. So you fill the burette, measure the start volume, then open the tap, allow the contents of the burette to fall into the conical flask. As soon as the indicator changes the color, you stop the tap and note the final volume. So the initial and the final volume difference gives you the titer value, that is the volume of the unknown concentration required to neutralize the known concentration, and from that we do the calculations. So let's understand the process again. So the known concentration solution, which could be either an acid or a base, is measured by the pipette and added to the conical flask. For this solution that is added to the conical flask, both concentration and the volume is known to us. Second, the indicator is also added in the conical flask. When an indicator changes color, the end point is reached. It means that the solution is completely neutralized. The unknown concentration solution is added into the burette. The starting volume is noted from the burette. The tap is then opened and the unknown solution is added dropwise into the conical flask with regular mixing. As soon as the indicator changes color, the tap is closed and the final reading from the burette is used. The entire process is repeated 3 times and the volume are wrote in the following format. So we wrote the experiment number, what is the initial reading of the burette, the final reading, and the titer, which is final minus the initial. The entire process is repeated 3 times and the values are noted into the following format, and we take the concordant reading. Concordant readings are any two readings which have a difference of 0.1 or 0.2. Okay, and generally the first reading is not taken into consideration. It's a rough reading. So if we see the start volume we got as 25.7, final at 49.6, we take away the two values and this is what we get the titer. Now how do you find the mean titer? You take the concordant reading, which are 0.1 0.1 to 0.2 decimeter in difference, add them up, divide by 3. There are 3 values. If there are 2, add them, divide by 2. So we get the average titer to be 25.29. Okay, so now let's see how do you do the calculations. Now for this, we will take a help of the moles triangle. The concentration is in moles per dm cube and the volume is in decimeter cube. The question here says that 10 centimeter cube of 0.5 moles per dm cube sulfuric acid is titrated with sodium hydroxide. So for sulfuric acid, we need both the volumes and we also need the concentration. Okay, and for the NaOH, we do not know anything. We just find out the volume from the titration. So we did the runs, final volume, initial volume, and we got the mean titer. So how to do the titration questions? I have listed out in easy to follow steps. First, you write the balanced chemical equation. So this is my balanced chemical equation. 2 NaOH plus H2SO4 is 2 Na give you Na2SO4 plus water. Okay, this is the balanced chemical equation. Now, always remember, either the equation will be given to you. If the equation is not given to you, I recommend you to check the video of C5 chemical changes where I've explained you how to write the acid-base equation. So, NaOH plus sulfuric acid gives Na2SO4 plus water. And the molar ratio is 2:1. That 2 moles of sodium hydroxide gives 1 mole of sulfuric acid. Now, underneath each of them, write the information given to you. So for H2SO4, we have the volume to 10 centimeter cube. And remember, I told you that the centimeter cube needs to be divided by 1000 to get the volume in dm cube. And the concentration is given to you as 0.5. Now, for sulfuric acid, we have 2 values. So the quantity that has 2 values, use the concentration triangle to find the moles. Now, according to the concentration triangle, mole will be concentration times the volume. So we did 0.5 times 0.01. So that gives us 5 times 10 to the power minus 3 moles of sulfuric acid. Then you find the other reagent mole by looking at the balanced chemical equation. Now the balanced chemical equation tells you that 1 mole of sulfuric acid gives 2 moles of NaOH. So whatever moles of sulfuric acid we have, we'll double it to find the moles of NaOH. So if sulfuric acid moles is 5 times 10 to the power minus 3, we times by 2, the moles of NaOH is 10 to the power minus 2 moles. And the volume from the mean titer, we got to have it as 25.29. Okay, now how do you work out the concentration? We'll first take the volume, which is 25.29. We divide it by 1000. So the volume is 0.025 and our moles is 10 to the power minus 2. And we will do 10 to the power minus 2 divided by the volume, and that will give us the concentration. Okay, so what is the moles? Moles is 10 to the power minus 2, and so we'll do 10 to the power minus 2 divided by the volume, which is 0.025, and that will give us 0.4 moles per dm cube as our concentration. Okay, so I hope this example is clear to you. Now let us take another example. So in this question, we'll take the help of our moles triangle, our centimeter cube, decimeter cube conversions, and let us look at the question. So it is of potassium hydroxide combining with sulfuric acid. And remember, when you have KOH combines with H2SO4, you write the balanced chemical equation, and that will give you K2SO4 plus water. Okay, so this is my first step. I have written the balanced chemical equation. Then underneath each, I'll write what values are given to me. So what is the value given to me? That for KOH, my volume is 50 centimeter cube. So which is 50 divided by 1000 to convert it into dm cube. So that is 0.05 dm cube. And the concentration is 0.1 moles per dm cube. And for sulfuric acid, from the titration, they have not given me the table, but this time just told me the volume. So that is 20. So 20 divided by 1000, that gives me the answer as 0.02 dm cube. Now, the quantity, I have more values, I'll times each other to find the moles. So 0.05 times by 0.1 gives me 0.005 moles. Now I got the moles of KOH. Now, what will be the moles of sulfuric acid from the moles of KOH? I need to divide it by 2 because 2:1 is the ratio. Okay, so I'll divide this by 2. So that will give me the moles of H2SO4 as 0.0025 moles. I got the moles, I got the volume. Concentration is moles divided by volume. So I'll divide this by the volume and I'll get the concentration 0.25 moles per dm cube. So I hope this process is clear to you. Write the balanced chemical equation, write the values underneath each for which you have more values, find out the moles of the other by the molar ratio, and then do the concentration calculation according to this triangle. And remember, centimeter cube to dm cube, you need to look at this. Okay, so I hope this titration example is clear to you and all the calculations that we have done in this. Now let us just quickly look over what are the key terms we saw in this unit. What is a relative atomic mass? It is the ratio of the average mass of an atom compared to 1/12 of the mass of carbon-12. Relative formula mass, sum of relative masses of all the atoms present in a formulae. Moles is the amount of substance that has same number of particles found in 12 grams of carbon-12. Avogadro's constant is the number of particles present in 1 mole of the substance, and 1 mole is 6.02 times 10 power 23 atoms. Limiting reagent is a reagent that is completely used up in the reaction. Yield is the mass of the desired product obtained in a chemical reaction. Percentage yield is actual yield over theoretical yield times by 100. Atom economy is mass of desired product over the total mass of all the reactants times by 100. Concentration is the mass of solute. If you have to find in grams per dm cube, it is mass of solute in grams over volume of solution in decimeter cube. What is titration? It is a technique used to determine the exact volume of acids and alkali required to carry out the neutralization reaction. Neutralization reaction is a reaction in which the acid reacts with base to form salt and water. A neutralization reaction in which acid and base react to form salt and water. Acid is substance that has pH less than 7. Alkalis are soluble bases that has pH greater than 7. Pipette is a glass tube with a huge bulb in the middle that is used to take out the exact volume of known concentration solution. Burette is a long tube with a tap at the bottom that is used to measure the titer, and concordance are the values in the difference range 0.1 to 0.2 centimeter cube. Okay, so I hope all these key terms are clear to you. It is important to remember all these key terms with these exact definitions. Okay, now it's the time to test yourself to see if you have understood what we discussed in this. These are the questions given to you. It says calculate the number of moles of the following: 10 grams of calcium carbonate. So let us do this question. So once you are given the 10 grams of calcium carbonate, what is the MR of calcium carbonate? I hope you know to find the MR of calcium carbonate, you do mass of calcium, mass of carbon plus 3 times the mass of oxygen. So that is 100 grams is the MR. So to find the moles, you do 10 divided by 100, and 10 divided by 100 gives you the answer as 0.1 mole. So the answer for the first one has to be 0.1 mole. Then 98 grams of sulfuric acid. The MR of sulfuric acid is H2SO4, which is 2 times the mass of hydrogen, plus sulfur, which is 32, plus 16 times 4, and that will give you 98 grams. So 98 divided by 98 will give the answer 1 mole. 18 grams of glucose. Now what is glucose? Glucose is C6H12O6. So you will do 12 times 6 plus 12 plus 16 times 6. So that will give you the MR as 180. And you do 18 divided by 180. And that will give you the answer as 1/10. So that is 0.1 moles of glucose. Next is 90 centimeter cube of oxygen. So first you will convert 90 centimeter cube into the dm cube. So you will do 90 divided by 1000, which will give you 0.09 dm cube. And then the 0.09 dm cube, you will divide it by 24, because For the moles, you need to divide it by 24 and you will get the answer as 0.00375 moles. Next is 10 centimeter cube of 0.2 moles per dm cube sodium hydroxide solution. Now to find the moles, you do concentration times the volume. Our concentration is 0.2. Our volume is 10, but it is in centimeter cube, so you divide by 1000. So it is 0.2 times by 10 divided by 1000. So it is 0.002 moles. So it is 0.2 times by 10 divided by 1000. Okay, so I hope how to calculate the number of moles is clear to you. Next is calculate the mass of magnesium required to form 160 grams of magnesium oxide. So again, we'll follow the same step. Mg, you need to find out. So we will put Mg to the right like this. And you have been given MgO, we will keep it to the left. We will see the balanced chemical equation. The balanced chemical equation says Mg plus O2 gives 2MgO. So from the balanced chemical equation, what is the relationship? Relationship is 2 moles of MgO is giving us 2 moles of Mg. So it means 1 mole of MgO is giving us 1 mole of Mg. The mass of 1 mole of MgO is 40 grams and the mass of Mg is 24 grams. So 40 grams of MgO is giving us 24 grams of Mg. So 160 grams will give us 24. So 40 to 160 is times by 4. So we'll times by 4 onto the other side as well. And we will get the answer as 96 grams. Okay. So I hope this question is clear to you. Now let's look at the third question. Hydrogen reacts with chlorine to form hydrogen HCl gas. So let's write the balanced chemical equation. H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl. They say when 71 grams of chlorine react. So the chlorine is given to you, you have to find the mass of HCl. Okay. Now 1 mole of chlorine is giving us 2 moles of HCl. Now what is the mass of 1 mole of chlorine? 1 mole of chlorine is 71 grams. And what will be the mass of 2 moles of hydrogen chloride? So that is 35.1 plus 1 times by 2. So the mass of chlorine is 35.5 plus 1, which is 35.6. So 35.5 plus 1, which is 36.5 times by 2. So we should get 73 grams of hydrogen chloride. But how much hydrogen chloride we are getting? 70 grams. So percentage yield is how much we expected. We expected to be 73. But how much we got? We got just 70. So 70 over 73 times by 100, that will gives us the answer as 95.8% is the percentage yield. Okay, so I hope the percentage yield is now clear to you. Now let's move on to the next question. Calculate the atom economy. The atom economy is the mass of the product take over the mass of all the reactants. Now what is the mass of the product? It is ammonia, which is 2 moles. So that is 17 times 2, which is 34. Okay, and what is the mass of the product? That is 28 plus 6, which is also 34. So 34 over 34 times by 100. This reaction has 100% atom economy, and that makes sense as well because it is making only one product, which is desired. So the percent atom economy has to be 100%. Okay, now what is the calcium carbonate? Our desired product is calcium oxide, and what is the mass of calcium oxide? 40 plus 16, 56 over the mass of the reactant. CaCO3 mass is 100. We times by 100, so 56% is the atom economy of this. Okay, now let's see the last question. It says 50 centimeter cube of 0.2 moles per dm cube of HCl reacts with NaOH. You need to determine the concentration of NaOH. Now remember the steps that I told you. You first write the reaction. So NaOH plus HCl give NaCl plus water. Whatever I know, I'll write underneath it. So 50 centimeter cube of HCl is given. So volume is 50 centimeter cube. So I'll write 50 divided by 1000, which is 0.05 dm cube. The concentration of HCl is given to me as 0.2, and NaOH volume is given to me as 10 centimeter cube. So 10 divided by 1000 is 0.01 dm cube. Okay, so we have concentration, we have volume, we can find the moles. So we will do 0.05 times by 2, that is 0.1 moles per dm, 0.1 mole. And if you see the balanced chemical equation, the moles of HCl and NaOH are the same. So the moles of this as well is 0.1. So we got the moles, we got the volume. Concentration is moles divided by volume. So 0.1 divided by 0.01 is 10 moles per dm cube will be the concentration of NaOH, which will cause a complete utilization. Okay, so I hope all these topics are clear to you. Now, what's the next step you need to do? You need to check the specification, make sure you are able to do all the calculations, and then you need to do the exam style questions on this topic that can be found on my website. Okay, now if there's anything that you still do not understand, leave a comment below. I'll reply to you. Or you can come to my website where you can find 24/7 chat support till your exam, and you can ask any question and we'll instantly reply you. Okay. So please do not forget to like, comment, and share this video. Also click on the bell icon so that you can get the notification of all the videos that I'm preparing before your exam, which will be helpful for you. And if there's any specific topic video you want me to make first, then also leave a comment below and I'll make sure that I'll make that before your exam. Okay, so I'll see you next in the next video. Till then, happy revising.